Hi everyone, my name is Annalisa Finger from my kitchenette at runningongreen.com. Today I'm going to show you an easy recipe using brown rice. When I counsel people on incorporating more whole grains into their diet, many of them have already made the transition from white bread to whole wheat bread, but when it comes to rice, many of them are still using the refined white rice. So I'm going to show you an easy recipe that's tasty, easy to do, and a great introductory recipe for your family using brown rice. To get started, all you need is your rice, of course, brown rice, onion, garlic, and I have vegetable broth, but you can also use chicken broth. We're going to start off cutting my onion. So the first thing you want to do is cut the onion in half. Then we're going to cut the tip off. I'm going to take the peel off. So it's still attached in the back. And then we're going to use the knife and make cuts this way, as small as you can, again lengthwise. And you want to make sure your fingers are out of the way. Just like this. The smaller the better. And for this recipe, you do want to make sure that it is pretty small, because there's nothing worse than a big piece of onion in your mouth. Then we're going to cut it this way. Some people also like to cut it this way, but it's not really necessary. So make sure your fingers are holding the onion like this so you're not cutting yourself. You can also sort of use it as a gauge. So this is where your knife is going to go, so that way you don't have your fingers in the way and you're not cutting your fingers. So you're basically cutting it like this. Keep holding it together. And then I just we don't really need this end. And here you go. Here you have a small, finely chopped onion. And we'll probably need about half a cup, which is about this is about the right amount, half an onion. And now we're going to use the garlic. I usually just cut the tip off that holds the skin together and kind of crush it, and that helps get the peel off. There you go. And then we just cut it finely. Also make sure again your fingers are out of your way. And then I just kind of cut it across. And I like to do this. I think that's pretty good. Okay. Let me put that aside. And now I'm going to chop my cilantro, which I forgot to mention earlier. For a cup of rice, I use about this much cilantro. This you don't need to cut as finely, but you also don't want to have big pieces, so I kind of just go through it like that. Again, watch your fingers. This goes in the garbage. So now that you have your onion, your garlic, and your cilantro chopped, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our water. So I'm making 1 cup of brown rice, so I need 2 cups of water. You can either use 2 cups of plain water, or I'm going to actually add a little bit of this vegetable broth. You can also add chicken soup or chicken broth. And it just adds a little bit more flavor without adding calories. And just mix it in. You can also use a whisk. It also helps if the water is warm. But since we're going to heat this when we're cooking the rice, this is good enough for me. I add about a teaspoon. They recommend 2 teaspoons per 8 fluid ounces. This is about 16 ounces. For me, this is good enough. Just a little bit of flavoring to give the rice a little bit more oomph. Okay, now we're going to go to the stovetop. Okay, here we are, my stovetop. The first thing we want to do is turn the pan on probably medium-high, I would say. And as that's heating up, we're going to add probably about a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. Okay. You can see that the olive oil is a little bit runnier now, not as thick. And the way you can test it too is just put a piece of the onion in there. A little bit more, and there it is. There's that sizzle we're looking at for. So once it starts sizzling, you're ready to put in your onions. There you go, that's what we want to hear. You always start with the onion first. If you put the garlic in first, they're gonna burn before your onions are even softened. We just kind of want to soften the onion. We don't really want to brown them. You just kind of want them to be translucent. So I want to cook this for a little bit. And then we're going to add our garlic. The onions are getting translucent, and I think it's sizzling. It's time for our garlic. 1 clove of garlic. And we're just going to cook this a little bit because we also don't want our garlic to burn. And while that's warming up, I'm going to get my 1 cup of brown rice. I'm using a short grain brown rice, but you can also use long grain, whatever you prefer. And I add that to the pan. And I just coat it with the olive oil, the garlic, and the onion. And just slightly toast it, kind of like a risotto. And then you're going to add the broth. The cilantro doesn't get added until the very end because it takes only the second before it wilts. And you want it to be bright green and not old looking green. So I'm adding my 2 cups of broth. And I'm going to let this get to a boil. And then once it gets to a boil, I'll put the lid on and turn it down to a simmer. Okay, as you can see, my rice is coming to a boil. And we're now gonna get a lid and put it on there and then turn the heat down to a simmer. So it's been about 30 minutes. I'm gonna take a peek. Oh, nice. It smells awesome in here. One thing you can do is also have a taste. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Nice and nutty. I think it's ready. I'm going to add the cilantro. It's nice. Chewy, tasty. I mean, it tastes good just the way it is. But, so I'm going to kick it up just a little bit by adding some cilantro. Like I said, I like to add it at the very end because we don't want it to be too wilted. We want it to have a nice green consistency. Beautiful. Awesome. I'm going to turn off the heat. And I'm ready to serve it. Okay, you can taste the rice again. Make sure it doesn't need anything. I'm just using. Awesome. You can add a little pepper. If it needs a little more salt, this is probably a good time to add it. I think it's perfect the way it is. I'm going to serve it and show you what it looks like.